So let me record it. So yes, of course, we have discussed in the previous class with a normal page-centric applications and then single-page applications. And in single-page applications, what are things that we really focus on? So yes, if single-page application, we try to specifically refresh the components. Though we have in a single page, we have multiple components. We tend to refresh one particular component. So if you see any web page, um, if you have a scoreboard, there only that particular scoreboard can keep refreshing it. So other content all would be the same. Maybe it is still a normal static page, but only the portion of that area where the score or weather report something it keeps getting updated. Yes, that this is possible even in the Visual Force as well. Something we called uh, um, a so Visual Force something called polling, where we trying to check, keep checking the uh, server controller, and so you keep checking them. Any change in that record, you're gonna pull them and then display it. So there's something called as polling, even in Visual Force Page. That is uses Ajax. So even the Ajax are all trying to use the single page type of concepts, where it is trying to refresh the one single particular components. But why it is like so not that so great if again it is a page centric application, and again moreover it is often it is hitting the server controller. So instead of checking the client and then getting the quick data and show you, so they're again often hitting the server to get the data. So the communication here is like the problem is in Visual Force Page often you have to hit the um, directly to the server and then to their object and get the data, and anything you do it the query you are trying to do it on the server. It's not something on the local. So when you want to do with the local or a client browser, then you have to use majority of the JavaScript. So where Visual Force where it doesn't have any majority of the JavaScript script to be written, of course you can write it unless you have type with some frameworks like say Angular or something I said. But otherwise they are flat. They always try to connect to the server and get the data and display. So that is what they're doing it. Even a single record, you're trying to edit, update, whatever you do, it has to go to a server and then get back to you. But as whereas our majority things that we may try to get all the data from the server and then we try to process internally between this, and again um, so majority data we try to do deal with the client. So in terms of security or processing wise everything, yeah, they try to not show much records to the if someone is trying to view the browser and get the data, so it's not so easy because there's all are encrypted in format. To read them or to understand them it's a really crazy thing. But however, majority of the data they are pushing to the client. So whatever you progress or do the stuff, it is to the local. So when it's to the local, it is maybe more faster than the hitting to a server and getting the data and displaying it. So that's the reason this type of JavaScripts are famous. Any JavaScript like say React or Angular or any other guy, they are famous for that only. So getting all them to the browser clients and doing it. So where Salesforce doesn't have any specific such frameworks been naming for them. So that's the reason they brought up the Aura framework at the a peak time of JavaScript time required for this. And now they have settled on with the LWC since okay, so they wanted to have a finite statement. Any solutions are people say that hey your system is slow or you can't progress the complex UI. Okay, let's bring a proper solution. So then they bought the LWC, which is adhering to all the JavaScript principles in the current market today.
Okay.
And now um, so just like seeing that, so if on yesterday we seeing that the quick step, okay, daemon is ready. How do we run the component? So if this daemon is not ready, you cannot even preview the application. So then we went to the developer console. So using developer console is not only the way to create a component. You can go even to the VS Code, go to the Aura section, create right click and create a new component there. And that even that eventually create a bundle for us. So like all the eight bundles you're seeing, right? So let's say component .js file, helper.js file, CSS. So like that, eight files will be created for us. That's a bundle we say. And every component will have it. Even the applications when you try to create, even they will have a bundle, but except the what is it, the design part and what we send, so they don't have the application don't have that. And otherwise, component propagations. So we'll see that how even propagation happens. How do we connect one event and another event, or how we connect one component to other component? how do you exchange the data? So that will be the last step where we do a more complexity on it. Till then, so we have seen that how a component is just a small CSS and then some JS and LPJS. So we'll try to use such one of the method or one of the simple program to use all of these concepts and try to do some activity. So coming to our use case where we wanted to have some UI, either to create a record or to hit and get the register record and then show the same customer information. So this is what we are thinking about. So likewise, we try to create a component and the component can be added where. So even in develop console, if you go click new lightning component when I say, so all these options, I think we have to use it. I don't think that experience builder site page will use it, but I would show a tab, page, record page, quick actions, all I would to show you. But experience builder site page, when you want to have a community sites, only then you can build it. So our agenda also would cover the displaying our components in all of the below options. So I will show you how in experience build a site as maybe um, this can be a theory, rather can be a practical thing. So theory or show steps. This belong to communities. So this belong to communities. But otherwise, other things are easy achievable, and I should show you. This is on a button. On a click on a button, you're calling the our component. On a go in record page, already we've seen this. So this is already seen. So getting a lightning page is something that our own custom page we are bringing it up. So lightning tab is again, then you are giving your own page, a one component to be a tab there. So it's independent about compared to other guys. So we'll all see this also. Displaying components are enable options. So now first let's do the if people talks about go create a component and go create a component and okay, register for a restart. So if this is a case they are saying, so let's say this is the UI that we have. Create a customer in MCDR. Okay. If a component I wanted to build for if a component I wanted to build it for what do you say to register a restaurant. No, not register a restaurant. Register a customer. Register. Register for customer. This is not in the MCDR. This could be in the sysintl org also. Why I'm saying is because um, the sysintl org indicates that you are outside the Salesforce. From there, you're trying to connect to the system and you're trying to create a record here. So possibly this component is holding an integration step. Integration connecting with MCDR and display success message. Post the record created. So this is a use case that we have. So this is something that out of the R that's essentially creating and integrating with Salesforce with using the service, and then we're getting here. Okay, this is accepted. So before that, let's do in a single R of the same, and we'll try to achieve the same. I want to show Lightning R components heading to our local system and getting create a record. That is one. Or go hitting to the find a restaurant and their respective customers within the same record, same what do you say, same R, and something you're coming from the outside the R other systems and then getting to it to the Salesforce. So we'll do both internal and external systems. So this could be, let's put this internal R in this internal or we wanted to create so you can say restaurant or customer, whatever you want. Create a restaurant or customer. So you're trying to create a record here. So basically that will have some few input parameters to create in MCD or create a restaurant or customer in MCD or with mandate fields. So we know the mandate fields which to be there in restaurant to please create them. So under that this is A. So we want to focus on this. So next is B is so create a we'll say this way create a aura component for restaurant or customer in MCD or that creates a record with mandate fields. So next is create a aura component for restaurant that displays related customers. So this is within an internal logs. And the same thing now for external log. External log they are connecting with service. Create a component that registers the customers instance centrally. Uh, register. Create a component and register the customer instance centrally. And integrate them connecting with MCDR and display success message post record created. So this is A. So we do the first step that we're trying to do, and the next is so the B would be same the component. Even we are sending the request right. So create a or a component and certainly provide the restaurant number and get the associated customers from MCD. Any questions here?
No.
Yeah. So something that we're trying to process within the same system and something we're trying to process in the external system. Where through something like integrations we process out the integration data in our component. So if you see that, then I think it will be good enough. Otherwise, you see a component how to create, read, view, all this you get in trailers and other so many stuffs. But talking in terms of a use case, how do we achieve it? So I think we wanted to have this. So to all achieve this, what skills are required? If you think skills required for this is so we need to understand if you have thought about the design. So we need to know about LDS. So it's a lightning design system. Um, because altogether you can't go each and everything. So you can't go design what is this input to be, how the layout to be, what the customer expecting to be having in a card or existing system should have a proper way of displaying the data. So basically, they expect the UI to be good. So LDS help us in terms of showing the UI. Like how if you have an HTML page, you have a header, footer, body, and what should be the left side bar and right side bar, and what should be the in the middle content. Or you have to have a form, and the form should be aligned right away in the right box. So talking about the UI stuff. So this is LDS. It talks about the UI things.
Design system or data system?
Sorry. Yes, yes, we have LDS, Lightning Data Service. We have so I got confused. So where you try to pull the data in that particular piece, where um, SLDS we talk or Lightning Salesforce Design Systems we talk. So yeah, we'll see that. Based on this LDS, I can show you Salesforce LDS. I think Lightning Data Service SLDS. So this should be named as LDS, but Lightning Design System, Lightning Data Service. I think both are referencing. You getting this? So Lightning Design System only. I don't know. People would tend to call them as SLDS. Lightning Design System only. In shorter name, they're copying it, no, calling it as SLDS. I think. Let's name it as SLDS. LDS, of course, people again talk with Lightning Data Service also. We assume it's a Lightning Design System, which tend to have UI stuff. UI snippets we get ready. Like how do you go to a Bootstrap and see the ready-made stuffs already? No. So the same with the this guys also brought something. Let's see W3 schools for a Bootstrap. If see, so you even you get the ready-made snippets. Like say if I want to get quick table, so they say this is a table, and you want to say try the data. Just see this. So they also give you ready-made snippets. Take this all the link which has CSS, JS all fine, and use this as a container. From there, if you see, we have aligned with the first name, last name, email, and then all the stuff. The same way if you compare here, the table we have and the data is also flowing in. So this indicates. So this indicates that okay, the table and the design. So the format has been given here. So a small snippet to check. This is not a dynamic one. This is static HTML stuff. The same way these guys also giving a static HTML stuff. Um, that'll be quicker for us to go copy this snippet component and then work onto that. So here also we don't go right all together a new table and all the stuff to do. So rather we can use the quick, okay, this is a container, let's have a table and then have a plot of this. Then we can have a table is ready for us. We can directly use it. So how in VF page we are directly used it, the same we are using, I mean, just seeing the reference and we quickly using it. See, everywhere they have the contents all been ready. So for each and everything, they have put a snippet here. If you want to call a button, so in the button, they have colors differences. So primary indicates this, success, green, dangerous, this. So you can say this is for a cancel button. I can say this for a primary for save button. So the moment when you show success message, you can have success there. So we have alerts also. Look at this. So this alert indicates on success, you show this message. On warning, you show this message. With color, I'm saying. So that will be good UI stuff. Whatever you see all here, you could see the same thing here also. Why I'm showing this is as an example. Sometimes your content may be require an HTML. So yeah, of course, which you don't find in LDS, you have to get something onto the Bootstrap. So maybe sometimes we refer it here. Otherwise, we are having a existing system to search. So you just go click on the component like utilities, accessibilities, you'll get all these components. For example, I wanted to have a box now. So under the box only, I want to display our UI things. Okay. So this is one area we have. So if at all you wanted to preview live code before just getting to the systems, yes, you can do it. For that, I think I don't know whether they are retiring it. Mm, Lightning. Let me check this. Something we called have a component playground library. So where it tells us if I want to have something lightning, something like or let's say a button. So you are previewing this as an example. So look at this. If you are running an LWC, so you're getting the snippet for this. So HTML, what are the different types of, if you see here above, base, neutral, brand, online, destructive, success, these are all the buttons you have. So they have given all the buttons. So this is the button what you're seeing above. And again, you have a simple snippet for this. This is for LWC. You have content there, you have a simple JS there, what you want to do, all that again. Uh, just like a small snippet they're giving you. Using this, you have to build your own, the idea that whatever you wanted to have. So if you see on the top here, view as our component they have. So either you can choose as an Aura component to preview or you can choose as a LWC component to preview. So now you clicked on Aura component. Now look at this. This is Aura components code. So now look at here. So this is a controller we have and this is a component we have. So what is the advantage of this is you can see your component, you can write a snippet here and you can right away you can preview them. It is exactly like how you tried yourself in WT schools we're doing it. Same thing. So they are trying to get the examples as many and you're trying to preview the code instantly here. You got my point? So whatever the design you see,
Yeah.
you are seeing the component here and then along with the CSS and other stuff, everything that you're seeing there. So if you want to change the background color, something else. So if you want to say all are FF, I know that they're running to modifiers. I think they're not relevant to modifiers. Earlier they were doing it, but now I think they are moved out of. Just they're showing the content to you. Okay, no problem. Um, what you can do is you can see all the code snippets here. And for this, they have given documentation also. So this lightning button, what they're doing it, what is base, neutral, all of the colors indicates. So where you can use in like something like writing recorded form, writing create form. So these are the few things which is already existing searches we have. Writing edit form. So this is another component. So if you pass for existing ID, so you can able to edit a record. So you want to create a new record? Okay, then have this component to create a new record. On a success, you will show a message. And then you wanted to have an edited record form, but you have to have your own custom size of input fields. Mm. And then a recorded form for the account, and then you're giving the field name as per default. So look at this. This all doesn't require much of the what do you say? Component logic you have created for the custom things. So these are all the existing one. Handle success, handle load, overriding default behavior, something like we are using extension controller, right? So we are trying to override the same method, edit methods, right? Same, all overriding the default behaviors, um, resetting the form where you wanted to get this. So let's say you have input field name industry and you have button where you say that okay save the record or you wanted to cancel the record. So these are something that we want to see it. So moreover, if you have a lightning record edit form, this is one. So lightning record edit form is the feature that which you have in Aurum. So where it is creating your record out of the box. You need not to write your own design components, all the stuff. It just gets you the right away. Um, so what are the fields that is required? This is absolutely like a standard controller. Standard controller is equal to account to write, right? So where you don't write any custom things, but this is something about the standard controller. So we'll give a difference here also. Hmm. Yes, we're talking about something on the skills, what we wanted it. So I was jumping there. So SLDS, I was showing you the design US snippets. Let's say you wanted to use box or some forms, designs, all that you get it here. So while showing you that, I showed you the preview also. So let me copy this link as a playground link. So this is all about the documentation that we'll be looking into. Otherwise, so these are the other components in the documentation it is. So let me show one example there and then I'll get this to you. Example, view as our component. Then we have a component here. So copying this link to understand about now lightning preview components for the SLDs. So the component that you have a snippet been put up here, like a static text, they've put it here in the SLDS. But the same SLDS, you wanted to preview something as a button, and what is the controller, what is the component UI things they've written. So you can lively show this, and then you can get an idea how this code gonna get work, and then how do it basically should be written. So here you get a theoretic, what do you say, a flat static text. You get it here. Copy paste. You should paste in your own org, and you have to test it out. So this is a manual process. So while previewing the lightning preview of the other components, if you go to this playground, so they help you out to show right away what is a snippet associated to what controller you have it. So it will make our job more easy. So we can snippet, we can copy them and then inject into our own personal code, whatever we are developing there. So in terms of skills, yes, of course, you need to have the basic static how it works and how do you preview and how do you copy. So the skills we require there. So this talks about all about the UI things. And then for a controller, um, I think this subsidiary should talk about the UI things. So this is UI, where you call general talk about the view. So we have a controller. So controller, we have a JS type of controller. We have a controller like Apex type of controller, and then we have a model. So which talk about again it talks about the objects either for DML or for SOCL. So getting this again, I'm just getting the point of where we are again coming back to MVCC. So it's a model and it's a view and a controller, all that we're talking about here. I think we wanted to correlate them because where we're heading to, that is very important. In terms of UI skills, yes, these are the things that we have. Of course, along with this, your prerequisite learning, if you have HTML skills and CSS skills, and then I mean for designing only for designing purpose, if you require this is good enough. HTML or CSS, HTML5 or CSS. For controller JS, yes, of course, you need to know about the core Java. Sorry, what do you call pure JavaScript. For for Java, we call core Java. That's the beginning of a program where we write a raw Java code. Pure JavaScript indicates that even here also, how do you know to call a function, call a method? So pure JavaScript is a prerequisite. So why it should be a requisite is because you write majority of the controller in JavaScript, and then you need to know about all about callback. In any JavaScript, you need to know about the JS callback. Callback means I'm trying to call you, and the moment I call you, what you gonna return to me? So based on that, I will display something data. So in meanwhile, while calling back to you, you said that yes, I'm success. You say failure. So I would categorize you into error category or a success category. I mean, very interesting. They have been having these callbacks. On the day I showed about JavaScript remoting, even they have a callback. So on a success, you're trying to show the account number associated to data, or if you have some failure, you're showing that error in something on the account number that you're giving in there. So JS callbacks are important. Otherwise, what we try to do is how to call the um, UI buttons to controller and handle logic there. So extended logic, we write in helpers. So this is about the controller JS we have to focus on. And why this guy has to be there, Apex controller. So in order to get the server data, and display to the UI. See till now the skills of what are the lightning component or the Aura controller JS or the before touching to the model. So these two guys would be there in the browser. So for these two of the people, they don't require anything to communicate with server unless and until your JavaScript is calling to our controller of Apex server code, and then they're asking for the data to give it. Only then we send the data to back to this JS controller. So JS controller is the one who is invoking the controller here. I think so. We are not writing or we are not calling this JS. So absolutely UI component and their associated JS controller, and the JS controller is trying to call us either to send the data or to retrieve the data. So they are connecting with the Apex not to get the server data and displaying to the UI or create the record by passing values to Apex. Look at this. And then model about we talk about. So this model will be used in internal to the Apex controller. I'm saying that of course I'm writing a controller inside the controller. What I do, I need to query the records. Which record you have thrown? You have thrown the restaurant, that is account record. So you are asking this number, go check it. So where I want to check, I written a class. Okay, class you have. Inside the class you need to absolutely query this object, select name from account. So that's absolutely model where you have a table and the data is residing it. So of course, Apex controller, we use the socket queries there inside. So these are the few things skill set required for the Aura. So in terms of design, what you require, in terms of controller, what you require. As a push request is for this JavaScript required. And then you need to know about from a method you're how to calling, and then from there it goes to the UI, and then from there we have a controller. So absolutely this is exactly talking about the pure JavaScript. So pure JavaScript means it's a raw JavaScript where you have no any frameworks you think how a pure JavaScript would look like. The same thing here. Okay. So any questions here?
Yeah, what is the, I mean, I know you put one more controller, JS control. What is the advantage of putting the JS control?
No, since you are telling that you are running on the client system,
Mm-hmm.
so by default, all the frameworks, whatever you write it, which won't run in the browser, basically browser will understand basic HTML and CSS and JS.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I need to have some such controllers to handle in my local browser. So that's the reason we have this type of a JS controller in JavaScript. So this all talks about the client. So where it is been displayed or something in your browser UI.
Okay.
And to get the data, so of course this guy can't do it. So they have to go get to the Apex controller and then they have to get it. If you don't have Apex, then they would be like, I mean, so no more Apex would be required there. Then they would be deprecated. But they wanted to use this Apex, where so you think that this is all the client-based systems, and you're trying to call a server data. So in order to get the latest record, what it will be created in this Salesforce. So they don't want to what is saying get rid of this Apex. They wanted Apex to be used.
Okay.
So so they don't give up with the client and server. So when you want to deal with server, yes, of course you have to have this Apex controller because there only the data is lively present. And this JS and whatever the UI things that we have, this all replicating or displaying something to a client system like a browser. You got my point? So I think by seeing examples, all I mean doing coding, you'll get to know. I'm just
Yeah.
classifying so where what is required and what are the skills required for this Aura. The same skills would be a little more extensively used in the LWC also. But this is the ideal way where we say this where exactly is used if you see. I put directly here. So client browser. You write the snippet in the Salesforce only, but where exactly is used in client browser we use it. And again, writing a snippet for this JS also it will be used in client browser only. But this is server side because of course we have to get some data from Salesforce FSA I need to go to the org and go query the object, right? Then it's absolutely we are touching the server, Salesforce server. So this is all we're dealing with the Salesforce server side. So without hitting to this, guys, can we do some logic here? There are possibilities, but however, we have to have a simple methods or some APIs. We have to create a record there. If you keep being in the browser, also, what is the meaning of it? So never it comes to the controller to a server. So then such records would not be saved in Salesforce. Getting so always you being the browser, then how the data comes to the server? So you need to have someone to send that data to server. One day then we can see data tomorrow when you come and preview the data. Okay, there is a record created in the Apex Salesforce. Correct, right? So you're in a browser, you keep often working there. You created a record. So that record we can have in the local database. So we can't say that it's in local. Yesterday, whatever the record you created in server, so today if you preview also it should be there. So only then it's a finite data where we created in server. So without this guys, it's not possible, I'm saying.
Okay.
But when we come to LWC, they have optimized. So when to use server side, or do we really require an Apex class to do this stuff? So both the combinations they have now. So with the help of Apex also you can have, or without that also you can have. Now again in Aura also for designing things, they're using Lightning edit form. We saw that, right? So you are not writing the code there.
Yeah.
You're not writing your Apex server there. For edit and creating a record, you need not require that things. But absolutely, again, you are having own independent component that you're building, so then you may require it. So that Lightning edit form is absolutely talk about standard controller is equal to account. You getting? So you have not written a simple logic, or you didn't write any Apex logic for a save, cancel, edit. Getting it?
Yeah.
They just absolutely you are trying to copy that particular component and you are injecting to a record page. Done. So that is what it talks about Lightning edit form. So now you wanted to completely customize things. Yes, there that also we have. So we will do the both the ways. We're writing the scratch code completely, and then we have using the existing component like say Lightning edit form. I think we have to use the both. So only then you will have an idea of okay, what is this now? Which component is required? Everything will be getting to know. And being someone's component also will get to know. Okay, this guy has used each and everything as um, he himself created each and every field and as a text. From there, he is capturing to an object. From there, he is trying to create a record. While creating a record, he is passing all the params to Apex class, and there is creating a record, and then finally showing display message. Where that is absolutely full scratch and custom code. So apart from that, we also have a simple record you want to create and using Lightning edit form. Which object? What are the fields? Okay, that also can be created record. So if simple record only is an issue, you can use the existing standard features. No, some logic extensive different logics here. Then you can write a custom code there. So we'll see both the ways. Any questions in the skill sets? What is required for the aura?
Yeah, no, good.
Perfect. So now let's kickstart with the basic of creating a record. And I wanted to show you that SLDS a few components we have and show them in previous. Yesterday we have hello world, right? The same hello world I wanted to show in a better way now using this box and designing and showing you. So if I directly copy this SLDS box and then will it work? So let's see. Go here. So resume, close this. Sample aura. So I'll go to the aura component here. So this was a component still written. And if I say this, I'm putting this into SLDS box and I'm putting into aura here. How do you preview the component? If you have an already an application has been opened, I think we can preview them. But still, it doesn't make sense that it's somewhere it's throwing one. That style is not being used effectively. So So we need to say that use SLDS for the RM. So we need to say that use SLDS. But these guys never said that go use SLDS. Maybe while get starting. Let's see. So for a record, they are division the visual for design system. So lighting out, we have a component visual for standalone lighting API. Salesforce. Okay. So I think you have to go through this one single document saying that what are the design system they're talking about. So they're saying that clarity will be there, efficiency will be there, quickly you can display, the beautify the content, pixel. Um, so some images that you wanted to display. So how do you get them and write about display? All that they are showing here. And so how do you go click and create a component, drag and drop? So this is not about this is all about creating a components and canvas and display stuff. Displaying data. How to display data? To the right hand side, you see a table that you how do you wanted to display the data. All right, let's get that SLDS in here and then display stuff here. So to do this, we need to have our SLDS to be firstly mapped here. Oh, once again, is anyone John? All right. Okay. So here I need to specify. So we say that extends force. This is hello will prefer to that and now it has got changed. For this writing application, I'm saying that please use this SLDS. How in VF page we used, I don't know whether you remember that. So Apex slash colon SLDS we used. Suppose using this design, SLDS style sheet applied. Even in the W3 schools, if you see on the top, we have in using the bootstrap CSS file, JS file. Do you remember that? The same thing this Apex colon SLDS for VF page does, and the same component for the extends force colon SLDS. So these are trying to use the style sheet of the Lightning design systems. Now, the moment I use this in application, your Aura is having, of course, SLD snippet. It tried to show me in the box. You see this? Did you get that?
Yeah, the style has changed, right?
Yeah. So this is all about the styles we look into for. Now, so you have seen about SLDS, um, and yes, of course, you can see a few more things like we can get more good UI also. So basically, we tried to copy some component we are displayed here. Again, still more you wanted to copy something and you want to try it out. Yes, we can do it. So go to the utilities. Just the borders have boxes have taken. Something model something have. We can search here also. Models. So models. Models indicate this like a pop-up box. Yeah, the same. So show the code and then you have this bunch of data. Don't worry, just copy them and then get them here and display into this component called a simple order. Now let's see what. So something we have a snippet. We're trying to copy them, and can we use this them directly? So just copying them, and then I'm just doing nothing, and I'm saving it. Do we see any issues coming there? Yes. Failed to save the sample or a invalid component called use. So what is this use? Get this.
Give me 2 minutes, I'll be back.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So what I was doing here is I was just copying this snippet direct from the SLDS, and then so it was saying that do not use. Where is that use is used? Control F use. So SVG link would be an issue there. Why? Because so we do not have put anything onto the SVG here. So generally to avoid this is better because we don't have any specific assets or icons or something this close. We didn't implement them. So I think SVG we don't have there. Anywhere in the snippets, if you see SVG, we have to get the. I said you right. SVG for a close button. Um, close SVG. For this cancel or a close, we need to have some SVG to be copied. I don't know where we get this SVG. Um, yes, we get SVG like icon set somewhere. We have to copy them directly and we have to use them.
Okay.
So this cancel button for the Mac OS otherwise okay. Close window. This is a traditional one. Embed HTML. All this wanted to give another good. Okay. I think whatever you do, they will ask you to register and then again they will ask sign in for money. They will ask you. Okay, SVG snippet will get it, and that SVG snippet that you have to put down here, or else it won't make sense. So let me save this here. Yes, it's saved. And will it impact the preview? Yes, we'll refresh this. You see this? Cancel, save. Actually, this is the model that we copied. It has put a backdrop for the back one, so the hello world if you don't see here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So something like a component on a click on a button, you wanted to get something like a pop-up here. Yes, this is a snippet for it. The whole thing is a snippet of just highlighting the
Yeah.
section.
Yeah. They mentioned it's a dialog box, right? So.
Yeah. So it's absolutely like a pop-up there where you get a dialog box, and in this you can have some snippets, and again in this you can have a form to fill the values. You can have your form where you can enter the name, restaurant, whatever that you want, and you can click on the save. So the moment you click on a save, it will go out of this and then come back to the previous screen where you have a backdrop. So it'll come
Okay.
back to this. And that controls you have to do it. As I said, you this is the static content they have put given to you, like how in W schools you go to Bootstrap, simple snippets you're giving it. Same way they're giving some dummy data. So this is all static data. So to make this live and work, we have to write a code for this stuff. Okay, so I was just showing how do you go copy your SLDS code and put your component and preview them. So that is what we're trying to do it. Because so firstly we need to understand the skills of SLDS. We have to do designing first. Before getting to controller, before getting an Apex class or writing any model, we are just first thing is we have to build the UI thing first. To build UI out of box, what Salesforce is providing, so that we have to use it. So we have to get familiar with this. Then we know about some HTML, we can add it. And we need to know also the preview the comments and see it how the components would look like. So this is the prior one. So that's the reason we are just playing here. Copying the as many SLDS models what we have or random components, whatever we see here, checkbox, chat, carousel. You can get all this content and you can test out them here in UI. So anyway, this is all fine. If you want to have a pop-up like that and then you wanted to have the data, still it's fine. So let me remove this off. So let the backdrop be the same. Um, Save and cancel. So this save and cancel doesn't have value so far because it is not calling to any button or method. To go do some invoke actions or to do that activity, we don't have anything. We can have it. I mean, based on clicking the options, we need to have it such. So what we'll do now? So let's come back to the basic only. So not to get into this big. We'll have a simple form. First, we'll work on a simple form, and then get that form into this type of complex things because you might see a header, division, a bunch of code has been written here. So first, we don't want so much big code. So you'll be like, I mean, writing our simple snippet. If you look directly, it'll be easy enough. Okay, this is a fail. This is the component. Okay, I'm good there. That way you'll see it. But if you have your code with the lightning stuff or like say UI, the code looks very huge and then we get a confusion. So we have such a big code for a simple thing. Okay, no issues. So what I want to have is I want to have a simple UI to take it and then what is it to print the value or to take an input and then to create a record. We'll do it. So first thing is we're gonna do out of box testing with standard lightning edit form we have. So first try out with the lightning edit form. So what they are trying to do, simple record ID. What are the fields they're gonna take it? So let's use that. So I just went on to this, we saw it, right? So let's use lightning edit form. So I'm just going to lightning recorded form. So there are a couple of them. So lightning record edit form, lightning record form, lightning view form. So edit form in the sense where you try to deal with you are trying to create or edit a record. So record form indicates about a flat text, what content that you wanted to view there, or something that you're trying to read it. Mode of view, just the mode is view. Where mode is read only. So when to want to change that to be your edit form, so then you change it to is that lightning edit form to mode to edit, and then so that's how you try to do it. Now let's see the same here. Are we trying to do edit or are we trying to create a record? So we'll see them and what are the default things that we have to pass it. So those things we have to see there. Okay. So let me come back to the normal where lightning edit form I want to do. So let me record view form also we have the same. So this is specifically about lightning record view form object Salesforce box output field they're giving it using record edit form and record view form together. Okay. Okay, we're gonna test all of this. So don't worry, we're gonna test all of this. So let's come at the beginning of lightning recorded form. So lightning recorded form says about that's a simple form where you wanted to create a record or update a record. If you're trying to update a record, you need to have some existing data. Where you need to have existing data means ID you need to pass of that particular record. Only then I can open such record and I can modify it. Even that was there in the VF also. So if you see VF also, we had that. Um, I use the lightning sorry BF page where okay, let me open this open pages account read. It is the same record that we had it. So I had an output label here. Look at this. So what did it do is so this record account read question mark is equal ID is equal to some value I passed it, right? Do you remember that? So VF
Yeah.
page in the URL, I just pass the value. Somewhere in the controller, I think I would have written it. So what it indicates is, it says about, not this one. I think I've closed it. Okay. So that controller, what we have written is, so after creating a record, just move to this account read form and take this is the ID. So all the URL will have and the VF page there you have and then question mark ID is equal to some ID name, whatever the record has been created. So that is going to read form or the same ID if you pass, it will be a specific record you're trying to do in view or edit. The same way, in the or also we have such that you can go, you can have a read form, you can do read form, whatever you do. So based on the ID you need to have, see the specimen, see editing the record specified fields given the record ID. If you give a record ID, it assumes that it's edit mode. You are trying to do edit the record of that particular ID. Or else it assumes that okay, it's a purely new record we are creating it. So output field is used all for view purpose, where you try to do input field and all if you give, they are trying to read a record or edit a record. In that mode it works. So output field is just to display the value. So read only mode, it just prints the value. Not even you can text the text boxes. It will be flat text. So working with the Salesforce data saying, so working with Sales means what? Lightning data service, which do not require any Apex class controllers to record create of this. That's the benefits of Lightning data service. So they do not write any additional Apex controllers. They're saying, see. So what is that? We have it. So let's see them also. Of course, I said right. So if you have Lightning form, you do not require anything like a controller to write edit form or something. So by default, they're working very good. See, this is the very big advantage they have. Use Lightning data service to load, create, edit, or data in your component without requiring an Apex code in the Lightning data service. Sorry, and in the Lightning data service, they're having the rules and regulation or security to display the data whichever they want to show to you. So those are the one of the good examples. They have record form, view form, edit form, and then loading the record data. Just use the force record data. So all they're doing with this. So using this, we are trying to use without a controller. We are trying to do with it. So now, of course, we know that this is UI we are writing it, and controller we know, and Apex we know. Without writing an Apex code, yes, using LDS. That is something Lightning data service. So one of the examples that is what now currently we're doing now. So I would come to rather here write an HTML stuff, and then you write a pass a value and go write a method, and then method should have a controller. All that is, this is the bigger process. So let's try coming from the standard approach or the out of box approach. What you can say, OOTB. Out of box, what is given as a standard feature. Use SLDS, sorry, use LDS where we say that just go create a form and try to create a record and see it is working or not. This is all absolutely without a record, without a class that you should see. And then, of course, I can't do anything with this. I want to have some custom logic. Then go to the custom logic, building something entirely new. So this applies in even in what do you say, LWC. So there also we have standard feature and you have their own custom feature to be built up. So everything we have, even in the Visual Force we seen, just standard control is equal to account. You are all written about the account without writing any class. And you want to do customize, you written a custom controller. We say that controller is equal to Apex name, and then you are all together. Your UI also is different. You can correlate, right? Smooth you there?
Yeah, yeah, there.
Okay. So now let's do one thing. So let's have a simple form. Uh, so this need not to be written or something like we can copy from here. But how do these components we're gonna now use it and where we're gonna paste it is important. Okay, let me come to here. So our component here. I'm gonna simply paste this. First thing is that we always have to test with the what is there in the content to do practice. We have to use them, and then slowly we have to try to write our own custom logic. So that's the best way of learning, because we at the very beginning only we can't get into too much of complex level. So what is basic thing? From there we jumping on to next higher things. So lighting record edit form. So we understand this. We don't have any recorded here. So of course it's okay. So they are treating us as a content object. So if you want to have a content object, this particular component should be placed in content object. So now let's save this and see. So if you see this set of record ID, if you give it's an invalid record ID, what do you want to update there? So that is the reason they're saying lightning edit form record ID if you give. I assume this to be a if you give valid, no, it will open up. Look at this now. Let me go to an org and give a valid ID. I'm just giving this copying an ID. So you can't hardcode always this. So you should get them dynamic. So let's see, let's just simply see this record and how do we displaying it. You see this? It's Rajaram Mohan. I mean Rajaram record, right? Account ID is this. First name is this. Last name is this. Email is this. So now I'm just saying that Raja Mohan at gmail.com. Update. It didn't show a success or failure to us because we didn't handle anything there. We just simply written a code.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
operation, right?
I mean, there's a button operations called as an update, but success failure messages, I don't know why it's not showing here. So let's see whether this record is getting updated or not. So what I have written is email I've given. Look at this Rajaram Sarajamohan at gmail.com.
It got updated.
Yeah, it updated. So Rajamohan at Yahoo, let's say. Yahoo. Look at this email now. To be changed to Yahoo. Yeah, look at this.
Mm.
So since you have given ID in the lightning recorded form, so it got updated onto the correct
Okay.
object. But this ID, how we get to know that it's always an ID, we just pass it. So this should be dynamic. Now let's say if I don't have any of these record ID, still would I be able to modify this? So then it assumes that you are a fresh new record.
Okay.
Getting, but we don't have an option called as an account name to populate here. So there's just simply a form we have. So I can write a test and or a test. This is something a save operations we have. And let's see whether that record has been there or not. See,
Yeah.
it got created, but it doesn't have any account name references, whatever it is. The record has got created. So this simple example, if you give an ID, yes, of course, I do edit some record. If you just say that I wanted to have a recorded form, so I edit the record. If you don't, you take them out, so it should be completely new record it is. So we're not updating there. We're trying to create a new record there. Instead of update, it'll be new record there.
Yeah.
So these are the simple lightning edit form we have. So based on the ID what you pass and based on the object which you pass is very important. So now let me say that the writing edit recorded form. So let the record edit be here, and I'm not going to use the same. So let me save this. Now what I want to do is I will take the sample aura and so this is a custom content, right? I will get the component here. I'll get that component here and look at this base now. ID has been dynamic now, and I'll go to any customer contact, not only to that record. I'll go to any customer content. Let's go to Jivarao, and I will get that component here. What is sample aura component here, and try to modify. So now what happened is that that particular component is in edit mode. It will replace this ID to this ID, whatever we have. It doesn't mean that the same ID always will keep running. So based on the UI, what we have ID, it'll override the ID here. Getting? If I just place this component inside this an account contact, any of the page, any contact you open, so dynamically that ID would be replaced in that particular component. It is not something like static then. So it'll keep overriding with the whatever the each records ID which is coming there. So let's try that now. I got edit page. Sample aura we have. So I just wanted to get that sample aura to here. So you can see this account ID. So now only it brought up. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So let's see. The ID is overriding, or we are just always getting the same ID. Let's see them. SNSR default. Yesterday we did no. So any component that's something you add. So they're asking you want it to be a default thing. Yeah. So save and then come back outside. But this is Jiva Rao and still it shows this Rajaram. So then I think in LWC it works like that, but here it's not like that here.
Took the same ID, whatever.
So let me try here. So ID I've given blank there.
No, empty.
So then we have to go back to our letting it form. So if I want to have this ID as a dynamic always, this we have to use it. Aura colon record ID recorded form. Look at this. They're saying that okay, we'll do one thing. I don't want to give any of the ID here. So what happens? What is the reaction? Let's see. So nothing.
No.
So then I just come here and then change it to yeah. So this one statement I think we have to use it. So we missed that. So force colon has record ID. I already said you right. So yesterday class also where this force colon record ID means it holds the current record ID. Current record ID. So how do I get this
Oh,
value? Force record has as for sorry force colon has record ID will hold the current record ID of this particular any page any component you put that particular IDs of the URL will be holding in this has force IDs will be having here. So now same way this is having so then I need to give this record ID is equal to v dot record ID. So what is that v dot indicates? It's a variable where for to hold the record value we have this. So I don't specify anywhere. I don't write any program to copy them. Again, I don't write any logic to copy them. So by default, this only will hold record ID there. So that's a good way of getting dynamic record ID here. Getting has first record ID if you have, and that is what capturing the record ID of the particular record. And then I'm assigning here. So if you don't give this, so then you give some value randomly it is breaking up, right? If you don't give this value, it's treating as blank. If you give
blank.
someone
Yeah.
XYZ ID, so that ID only displayed. Now if you make them dynamic, we need to have like this. So let's save them. And now let's preview. I think we need to see them should hold a Jiva record there. You see this?
Yeah.
So whatever Jiva you have, you got them here. So ideally how this is the component has been populating. So based on your record ID that has been populated. How do the record ID we get captured? Using the dynamic as source ID where we have v dot record ID, so it got processed. You know, tomorrow if you
Yeah.
want to have, see, simple edit, we have this. If you want to have the ID and you want to do some other XYZ activity, so then we can replace this component, but we will process something. How do you feed the ID? So this is how we feed the ID to that. If you have this another, this is simple edit we have. So we're not dealing with anything like edit. So based on this ID, you're trying to populate some third party and then getting the record something you see. But then what we have to have? So we need to have this type of record ID. So where the record ID is pulled from where? From the browser where the in the URL that whatever it passes. So that is what it is captured in the this particular v dot record ID. So you must have this and you must have this. Let's say I'm removing this off. Let's see what happens. Look at this.
Yeah.
So with the help of only with that extensions, we are able to capture the respective ID, or else it's a blank.
Yeah.
Right? So very important tag to have it. So even this is record home, right? Only if you put this as record home, where you are while you configuring the layout, so you went to the edit page and you saw the component, you dragging them here because you have been said that it is used for record pages. Only then I'm opening a record and then I'm doing it, right? So for record page, it will be available. If you open it outside any other page you're trying to modify, it will not be available there because you didn't specify it. In the header in the flexi page implementations, we said it's for record home, and then we need to have record ID. So this is two things only we have given. If at all you would have given these all these options, you can be seen everywhere. We have seen only to the lightning record page, correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the one we see. So now we are able to see a record, create a record, and update a record, and updating, putting the right page, and then modifying the record. So tomorrow we have a different component, but you have to feed the ID, and then based on that they have to populate. So all this we do the same. So it's not always about the recorded form. So something else we can use there. So we could share. So that's the best thing of Lightning Data Service. You are not querying anything here, or you're not writing right any concept of saying insert DML. We don't use any DML insert statement here, right? So that's a specification about Lightning Data Service. So without writing a code, so I mean, specific Apex class, so they are allowing you to make some change on to the records, either update or delete. Sorry, either update or insert. All these DML activities they are trying to write without a Apex control logic to be written. So that's a plus. So creating a record, we have seen. Let's say if we wanted to load a record. So let's see how a load record they're doing it. So load a record again is a record view form. So they're saying, so you have to see the record as view dot record and then mode is read only and view all fields. Okay. So now we have to understand something about some custom layout where we want to design some fields and we need to say them, hey boss, this is the fields that we have. Again, we don't have any writing any simple controllers here. Mm, So there are handlers written here. So we'll come to the handlers parts, but before that, we have to simply see without going to handler, what are the things that we can do max. So then we'll come tomorrow with the handler specifically and write some logic there and then get the value and then display data like that will do it. But today just we'll see how do we read the form or edit the form or update the form using the standard operations like lightning recorded form. Fine.
Yeah.
So the same now lightning recorded form we have recorded view form we have object name output field name phone. So two ways we have. I think let's have this two ways also. So I would give this, let this recorded form would be here, and I would have another component here. So this another component is saying about I would want to have only onto the contact object, not an account. Um, so first name, let's give the same name here. Account ID, first name, and email. So what they're trying to do is here, so they're trying to view the record. So you should try to say that you are editing the form or creating the record. So you also need to have view. So this is something we have edit here, but we have something here, view here. So it's a read-only mode type of thing. And ID, if you would pass it as a dynamic here, then they also would display the same. So doing this, we don't worry about which record where. So all that is goes dynamic here. Now, if you open this Zara, no, the Zara application, now it will be crazy. I don't know. So without ID, what they do? They don't have anything to show it here. But if you don't have an ID, if you try to create, they will try to create a record there. So that's what the app does now. But if the standalone page you came here and then you're seeing into the record from page, you will see a couple of them. You will see the right record there, you would be previewing the record there, all that would be able to see. Look at this. This is the read mode. And this above you see it is a edit mode. See that?
Yeah.
So you can have your own design by going to the SLDS and then so by going to the SLDS, that looking some weird and I wanted to have a very good design. So you can use them. So there are some cards to display. So these cards are too much of code if you see. Okay, this looks simple cards. And for this SVG is required. Okay, this SVG. So this is an article with the division and then they have footer. So like this, we'll try to get an article and then let's see. I would try to get them in a right rate format. So um, read view form. So SVG, we don't have anything here. And then in the footer, whatever the view all form that we have now. So I can throw this amount, no any references. I can get this all the record leading from here. This is this. Now the way we go now reviewing the record is different. Read view form, account ID, name, first name, email, all this they're getting it here. So this looks like some other boxes how we have decent way. So we're getting that the form also in a decent way. Even this first name and then account ID, what we have, we can get them like white background decent. How? Basically, you need to have some cards as a design there. Like how we have these cards, and so this just you have to just go to this all this table what it's doing, and what are the different types of UI they have. You have to be practice with that. So why I've chosen card is because they will have a box type of layer. So if you want to have a checkbox or chart, so then where it is used and why it is used, you should think about, okay, chart type of structure, I may use this thing. Now, how do I know that this is the text that is going and coming? So you have to see a chart code, how dynamically they take the value and then get it. So something like a dynamic menu. So you show them options based on the access that you have or based on the record access, whatever someone is trying to use it. And whether you have edit access, you can show them edit access. So like that, you have a bunch of what do you say things here. If you text, you have a map. So how do we inject a map here based on the locations? What are the address that we have to give to this input to this map? See, so map code, figures, coordinates. So based on that, they're trying to display the map there. So snippet is ready. All we have to use them and make it as dynamic there. So maybe this is a static one. So there you can make it for dynamic by just looping them into a dynamic values here. Okay, so it's a big
Okay.
things we have in SLDS. All this we have to reuse it and then make them dynamic. Like how slowly we are making this thing considered as dynamic and making like good UI things. So firstly, we have a recorded form. So this recorded form, wherever you see, where without anything you query, what is this if you call? People says that should be a Lightning data service. This could be a question of an interview. Can we do a query without a query, or can we do without a DML statement? Can I update or insert or view the record? Yes, it is yes. Using a Lightning data service, you can do it.
Okay.
So that's the first fair point you have to answer. Yes, of course. Without that, also, I don't want to use anything like Lightning data service. Okay, then you have to write your own custom logic where you not assign each attributes, and attributes is something like attribute name, attribute first name, attribute last name, attribute email. All this value take it, and then you to go to a controller, send all this value to a Apex logic controller to create a record, and then display back saying that success. So it's a process of you taking all the values into a params and giving the record to insert, and then you're getting back to success. But in this case, we are using all of the out of box fields we are using here. So I didn't write anything account ID first name. It's all about these object, whatever the fields we have here. So tomorrow, if you have 100 fields, you can get all the 100 fields. Getting? So one more which I
Okay.
saw, not only for the one record, for viewing a bulk of record. Somewhere I saw uh, view fields. Wait, let me see. Yeah. So you give a field here, attribute fields, you give it here, and then v dot fields. So let me test on this also. So what this is trying to do, I don't know. We'll just check this out. So we don't want to use this record ready and all. So it's already been there. So I will use this particular thing. Second one. So this last try and then went up. I'll place this the last. And the string anyway, the field this is when see defining like a string A is equal to something we write different, right? Name. In normal programming, I'm saying where this is indicates string of array. So then it is like this. List of string. So they're saying list of string, some str list, you think. So when you define a list, what you do is you have to add the list item here, right? This is how we define the list, right? In Apex
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
This is absolutely same as this what we define the attribute. Attribute indicates, so this variable it is. Variable of type what? A type of list. List of type what? Data type string. And then what is the value they're adding default? So something like this. Either you can add like this. Um, so this is one way of adding a value. Just a minute. Sorry, I got a call. Um,
Right.
okay, this is the string which we define this way. I'm just saying comparing with our Apex code. So let me comment this out so that we'll understand the data state. And this is the HTML type of a multi-tagline for common use it. So string list. So this ideal way of adding a value, or you have been familiarized with this way, right? So where you put this dot add, and then you put name. this is one way, and this is another way. So let's say string list um, dart. I'm just a different variable name. Why? Because this is one way of defining the adding list items, and this is one way of adding list items. Getting?
Yeah.
So both are indicators of the same. So you are trying to give an attribute and fields and string and then default names. So the same way we added list with along with this some names already been existing in our list. So it indicates the same. And record ID is already we're using the same from the Salesforce ID. So not worry. And it's not a count. It's a contact object we're doing. And if I say v.fields, I don't know what will be here. So v.field is name and industry. We're getting it here, but it's not for us name and industry. It has for us first name, name and industry indicates for sorry. So that comes in account field. So name, first name, last name, and there are a bunch of fields we have. Getting email, account ID. This all comes in contact object. Earlier name and industry, whatever we saw, it was about account object. Sorry for that. I'm just copying this to this. Okay, so these are examples that we're trying to do it. So defaults means you can give a bunch of fields here. So you're not writing that time field name, account, first name. You're not categorically writing this. You're just passing all to these like an array. Hey, get this all the fields and display to me. So this is one way of dealing it. So let's go to this record and see them. This is this first name, last name. First name you don't have, so I didn't print anything, and the last name I have zero, so that is printed, and each is displaying as a row. Do you see that?
Yeah. So only two fields we give, right? So only we got two
Yeah, two
fields.
fields there. So if
Okay.
you see these details, how these details? Look at this. This is much different. No, not big different. We have first name
Empty.
empty. So the last name. So it says how. Do you see this? The name and the next value you get it the same way it is. So if you
Yeah.
have two more fields, I think you will get to know. I mean the UI how it looks like. Account ID. I will just give this account ID. And then I think I have to give next as um,
Email. Email.
email is the best one. Yeah, email. I'm gonna save this. So how the one after the line, which you see here in the view form here, how it prints the same way they are trying to print it here. Account ID, I think. Look at the very important again is um, the very important thing is if you miss out the in VFS, it's not a matter actually, but in the our LWC, the label name is or the API name is very important. Look at this is the actual name, but I've used DS caps here. Look at this. They were
Yeah.
sensitive of displaying the data type. It should have like this only. Getting?
Yeah.
So let's control C. It should be very important. And in VFPA JPEGs, they are not about the case sensitive, but in the ORAN LWC, they will have a case sensitive. Talking about the fields, you should be very careful on this. Now the account ID came, right?
Yeah.
Because the ID which is missed that time, this is not able to come up with that because of which we printed there. I mean, API name should be very good enough. So let me update this record saying that jiva@gmail.com. I'm just doing an update from here only. So update, it updated the record here right away.
Bottom can we see? Email. Email down. Down. Yeah. That also
I mean,
reflect.
this is all dynamic, right? So everywhere you should see
Okay.
because we are passing the record ID across. So instantly everything has been brought up here. So we have normal record B form in terms of one of the fields. We have a simple lightning card to display one out of the fields that we manually entered here. And this is the edit form we have. We have it here. So all these are lightning components with an aura which we built.
Okay.
Okay. In this app, we don't have much because we don't have anything to show up there. If you give a value, then it will try to create a record. So let's create another dummy one. Test dummy. Let me see. Will I be able to get record here? I have just the only thing I just am seeing. Let's see. Test dummy. It's important. I mean, required field. That's the reason it is asking here. Test dummy at gmail.com. Update. It is created a record, but it didn't get into view form or no show the record because it just only when we're not going querying and displaying the record because either of the form doesn't have an ID it is holding.
Yeah.
Of course, this record is created, but they are not
Yep.
reflecting here.
Dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this got created there, and all this value may have it, but instantly this app is not going to query and get all these records and display here. It just simply it is creating a record because in this both the way we are just saying that go get the v dot record ID. So record ID at that particular moment they are not having it. Only on a page when you load they are all having it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we seen about view, edit, all the stuff. It's all about the so internal or creating a component, creating a record. Maybe we are trying to this all we dealt with the account. Sorry, dealt with the contact, not with the account. We could have done with the account, but majority we just start with the contact. So let's say all the options we used with the contact because always we are using accounts to do. So let's start today to deal with contacts.
Okay.
And okay, and this all we have tried a custom logic and get the results of the related customers. All this we are trying to do so far is within the internal error. We're not trying to do anything with the external error. External error means from somewhere from systemly we're getting to MCD and getting the data. So that is tomorrow. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
questions, Murthy?
No, I'm good.
Okay, great. So thank you. Thank you. Bye.